Hello, traders. Welcome to the live webinar with Elite Currency. My name is Chris Svorcik, and we're going to take a look at automated trading and ECS things in general. Sorry for that delay. Was not able to be back behind my PC in time, unfortunately. So thank you for your patience on that. Before we start, just quickly wanted to mention the offer from Monfex Broker. If you're from one of these countries, you can get a special 100% discount for ECS Live, 6 months, or almost half off on these EAs. Okay. So that's something to consider. Otherwise, let's start and take a look at, for instance, some of these EAs. We had, for instance, Zeus EA, and had a small little drawdown end of last week, about 10% open loss, floating loss, but ended up very nicely as Friday we got a bounce to the upside. The system was aiming for a bullish bounce back to about 120, and the odds of that reversal or retracement were high, and that's what happened. So the floating loss disappeared, and the Zeus EA steady as it goes again, continuing higher, as you can see, with a good consistency and a very nice equity curve here. All right, so you can see that. Let's take a look at the history. Let's see. These are already newer trades. We have to go a little bit more back. There are going to be a lot of trades. Maybe I won't be able to find it. It's very active, as you can see. Here we go. Can't find it at the moment. Here you can see those buys, a group of buys closing at 120, 120.20, as you can see, other buys, but before that there were buys at 120 or 120, between 120 and 120.10. So those all closing nicely in profits, as you can see. So yeah, that floating loss was dealt nicely, and we had some compliments on that from a few traders that were impressed by how the EA managed and worked, and how it got itself out of that floating loss. The floating loss was not huge. I think it was about 10%, if I remember correctly, but still, worked out nicely and back on track, let's say. So otherwise, what's the gain this month? Almost 1%. Last month, 4%. Let's take a look at our own account. It's up also about 0.6, as you can see. Yeah, so good performance here, good experience with Zeus EA. Getting itself out of a little bit of a tough spot, but managed to get itself out of that. So very nicely. Other than that, let's take a look at my own EA together with Carlos, our programmer. It is running on a demo at this moment. We're forward trading SWAT EA. It's more actually fractal EA. Just started, so really nothing to show. Yeah, it is up, but that's just, of course, based on nothing, 2 trades, so it doesn't mean anything. So let's see. We're forward trading it now. We're gonna keep up, up to date how this is going, and after, I don't know, the next period of time, I will decide whether this is good enough. Is it trading as it's supposed to? Is it trading as we expect? And then I'll put real money on it, if yes, of course, and then trade it forward with real money. So that's exciting for me. It's based on fractals, breakout, Euro dollar 1 hour chart. It is my first EA finally. After all these years, I have helped Mislav, of course, Nikolic from Bull Capital with his Ultimate EA, but ultimately he's the creator. I did work on EAs together with him before that, but we never kind of finalized any of them until he did with Ultima EA. So this is my first one. I'm happy. I got this far. Let's see if it's as good, if it behaves as I hope it does. I can show you the back test that was done to give you a little bit more idea, because this doesn't give much information. There we go, SWAT EA backtest. Now, this is with 1.7% risk, so just a tad less than 2% risk per setup. Now, I think that anyone can adhere or agree to the fact that, of course, if you want to trade with some kind of, if you don't want to let's say not over risk, but if you want to have moderate risk, it should be less than 2% risk per setup. Otherwise, anything above 2% risk, of course, is quite aggressive way of trading. And this is 1.7, so just a little bit below that max for moderate trading. And with that 1.7 risk per setup, the drawdown is about, as you can see, 31.6%. Now, this is not earth-shocking numbers, don't get me wrong. It's about just a little bit shy of 2% per month. So yes, it's not, as I said, it's not earth-shocking in a year. It could amount to 25% then. So it's not an EA that is as powerful, let's say, as Ultimate EA could be with higher risk. But of course, it is trading with higher risk, or Zeus EA, or even LOA EA. I know LOA EA is going to drawdown, but the testing it did for 10 years certainly was quite robust. So let's see. But still, I think it's reasonable, good enough for me to try to trade it forward and then live. So let's see. Specifically, tough times after the pandemic hit for this system, as you can see, that's been the greatest drawdown, because the peak reached in April, and you can see it's been in a drawdown since. So let's see how it behaves after maybe this drawdown. Is it still continuing to draw down, or will it push up? That's something I'm curious to see. But it is 10 years of testing, so that's a lot of data, a lot of information, and of course, 2% per month when accumulated adds up to more. If the profit is left on the account without the profits being taken back, of course, that starts to accumulate to a lot more. In fact, a 10,000 account will be then 120,000 in 10 years. So that adds actually up to, funny enough, if you let it accumulate for that period of time, at least for that length, it adds up to 110,000 in 10 years, which is actually about 10,000 per year. And then suddenly you have 100% in a year rather than 25. So that's the power of accumulation. Not accumulation, sorry. Accumulating the profits, but that's how interest on interest can create something much bigger, right? So you can see that at work here. All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves at this moment. It is a powerful statement. 10 years of backtesting, in my view, but that's not the only factor. But I did want to share this just to see, show my work that I did with Carlos. So I was happy to do that. And happy that I got this far. Although I wish it would have been a little bit better, I'm still happy that it's still a very decent performance, from a 10-year perspective. Now 10 years is a long period of time, so not sure if I will hold that long, but still quite happy with this. Other than that, let's take a look what's going on with not new EAs, with the other EAs. LOA is still struggling at this moment with minus 36%. Let's see how that goes. Would like to see a bounce up, a higher low, and that's the moment where I'm considering to add more capital to LOA EA. Not now, not when it's in the drawdown yet, but if I see some up and then down, I would consider that. That's my plan at the moment. How about Mislav's EAs from Bull Capital? Let's take a look. Rush EA slightly up this month, 14% so far, and Ultimate EA. Sorry, this is not Ultimate EA. Also slightly up, as you can see, or quite a decent amount, 18% at this moment. I think there's some open trades. A buy at this moment, apparently. One buy. Okay. So let's see. We do have a higher low. We have a higher high. So maybe the start of a reversal. I don't know. Just from a technical, chart perspective, let's see. So far, euro dollar is moving up, as I indicated in my euro dollar pound dollar video. It is hitting 121. That was my main target for the wave 5. Maybe I'll show you quickly. As I indicated on Monday, yesterday, that this is looking like on the 1 hour chart as a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's what happened. We got a bull flag. We got, first of all, the bounce, indeed, to the downside, back to the 21 EMA. This swing to the upside was indeed over. We did get a retracement. Second of all, that retracement was shallow, was mild, and respected the 20 EMA, and also respected the shallow fibs like the 38.2 fib at 120.20. We got a bounce there at the fib and the bottom of the 20 EMA zone. Then we got, as expected, the breakout above the 21 EMA zone and the channel for wave 5 continuation. And then wave 5 is pushing indeed towards the main target at 121. Now, it could go higher. I don't know. But I think eventually this is going to run out of steam and complete the wave 5 and make an ABC down. Divergence is visible, so of course divergence is not something that creates an immediate reversal. But let's take a look at 15-minute chart then. I think that it could be a wave 5 right here that is finished at wave 5. If not, we might see one more wave 4 and 5. So if there is a lengthy bull flag on the 15-minute chart like this, then, or some type of bull flag, it could be still space for more upside. But if there's any bearish candlestick patterns on the 4-hour chart, for instance, as it hits the 143 May, I think there's a chance of a downside. So I think it makes more sense, in my view, to look for a bounce now. But I would rather wait for, of course, for this momentum to fade out. It's in a bullish momentum. I'm not sure how far it could push. It could go another 10, 15 pips. Who knows? Maybe more. But eventually, I would say that this momentum is over and it could reverse. Now, anyone who traded this 38.2 fib, the breakout, or the continuation, I think makes sense to take profit here or monitor it on the 5-minute chart and try to catch it as far up as possible to maximize those gains. That's just my 2 cents on the euro dollar. So let's see what the target is on Ultimate EA then. 121.54. So yeah, let's see. Maybe there's a lot more upside left. If it does hit 121.54, that's an excellent target for any discretionary buys and probably a good zone for a bounce back down, in my view. Any questions at this moment? So yeah, we had an interesting test of the Zeus EA, and it passed that particular test well last week. SWAT EA is now live for trading, so that's exciting. Otherwise, yeah, there's, I guess, nothing else to mention except check out our research and education section. Go to education, and there are a lot of our articles from 2020 that have been added here, just so that you have an overview of everything. Edited waves, of course, is an old article, but shows the relationships between waves and fibs very nicely. as a reference guide here. But there are other great articles that were added in 2020, second half of 2020, so very recent. And you can see all of them here. 5-step guide for trading and mastering charts, all kind of topics, fractals, whiz, case studies, the confirmation and validation levels, time patterns, open chart spaces. So I think this is a very valuable resource, educational page. I just wanted to mention that as a great starting spot or middle spot or ending spot for any learning process, I think. And of course, if you like my own work, check out services, Forex and CFD, and feel free to join Zeus EA or SWAT. And if you want to join with Nenad, of course, he has his Black Widow system and he has live setups. All right. Otherwise, I guess that's about it for today. Those were the two main things on my mind. Let me double check if I missed anything. I think that is about it, indeed. Don't see any topics that I had in mind otherwise. Yeah, SWAT EA, maybe just a few more words on SWAT EA. As I said, fractal breakout, using with moving averages. There are a lot of rules to determine what is a good breakout, which breakouts we skip. Yeah, uses a combination of moving averages, basically, and to determine that that landscape, really, what is the trend, what to aim for, 2 different exits, same type of entry, and yeah, it tries to keep the drawdown low. You cannot see too well here, but 31% is the drawdown. We can take a look from a monthly perspective maybe before we head off. Here you can see the end of 2010, -7, -8, -7. From a monthly perspective, this was a bit weaker, but again, about -9. Here, this was a pretty substantial 2014, end of 2014, a series of losses. So we had -21, -23-ish altogether here. Doesn't break 8 or 9 in this case. Here we had also about 22, maybe a little bit more actually here if we add that. So we're looking at about 27% in 2016 with the Brexit process there. Nothing. Oh, very good year here. Very good year here. 2020, yeah, with the pandemic, as you can see, weaker results, but didn't break the -20. So about 27% around the Brexit period was about 27. Sorry, no, actually 29. Excuse me, was the weakest result. So you can see that typically when there are maybe bigger issues in play, Brexit, pandemic, the system is performing somewhat weaker. 29% though was the max kind of loss in a series of months. And that's something I wanted to achieve, that it doesn't go too deep, certainly not above 50%, but I think 30% is something that most Forex traders would be able to handle, in my view, at least certainly I myself. And that's, as you can see, the worst case scenario. Often it's the second worst case scenario seems to be about 22, then 18, and most of the losing streaks from a monthly perspective seem to be about 7-8%. So I think that's manageable from a psychology point of view, certainly, as I said, for myself. But I also estimate that, yeah, a lot of traders can handle that. So that was also one of my points I wanted to focus on. All right, I guess that's it. Thanks for joining and spending the time with me. I don't see any questions, so we'll be back tomorrow with your dollar pound dollar video, and next week again, of course. So see y'all very soon, and wish y'all great trading. Cheers.